I flip furniture for a living. I get it for free or buy it cheap at yard sales, and fix it up and sell it for more. I guess you could say I'm the kind of person who sees potential in things most people give up on. I like getting my hands dirty, and I don't mind putting in the work, if it means giving an old dresser a second life instead of getting thrown in a landfill. The money could be better, though. My daughter comes with me sometimes to pick up furniture. She likes the treasure hunt feeling of it. Last month, we found a table on one of those Facebook buy nothing groups. A nice maple piece that needed some refinishing. The table wasn't the problem. It was the jewelry box my daughter found in the attic while we were there. I didn't think much about it then, but now, I never should have brought that thing home. The woman who owned the table lived on the other side of town, a big old home with peeling paint and a sagging wood fence. She led us straight to the attic. The table was up there with some other things she wanted to get rid of. The attic was packed. Furniture covered in sheets, boxes stacked to the ceiling, dust everywhere. I had to clear a lot of stuff away to get the table out, but it was worth it. The table was built well, so I knew I could turn a good profit. My daughter was poking around while I shimmied the table towards the stairs. "Dad, look at this." She was holding this old metal box, white with roses painted on it. The owner glanced at it and shrugged. "Take that too if you want. It's been in this house longer than I have." My kid was thrilled. We loaded the table into the bed of my truck. The jewelry box sat on my daughter's lap the whole time. She kept trying to open it, but the latch was stuck. "We'll figure it out at home," I told her. I wonder what would have happened if I had just flung that thing out of the window right then and there. Back home, I squirted some drops into my eye. I have to do that a lot since I got LASIK recently. Then I got to work on the table. I sanded it down, fixed the wobbly leg, and gave it a fresh coat of stain. It was coming together nicely. My daughter finally got the jewelry box open that night. She called me into her room all excited. It was lined with faded red velvet inside. My sister had a jewelry box when we were kids. Hers had a tiny platform inside with a little ballerina twirling on it. This one didn't have a ballerina. Instead, there was a goat, a small black one, standing on its hind legs. When my daughter lifted the lid all the way, music started playing. Slow, creaky notes. Not the lullaby sound you'd expect. "That's different," was all I could say. I went downstairs to start dinner and I didn't think about the box again that day. In the morning, I went out to my workshop to finish the table. All my plants were dead. The ones in the windowsill that had been fine yesterday. They were brown and crispy, like they hadn't been watered in weeks. Maybe they were getting too much sun. I moved them to a shadier spot. Then I focused on finishing the table. I posted it on eBay for $900 that afternoon. It sold right away. That night, I heard these slow, creaky notes again. Faint, coming from my daughter's room. I peeked in. She was sitting in the corner at her kids' table pouring imaginary tea from her plastic tea set. The jewelry box was resting on her chair next to her, like it was a guest seated at the table. My daughter was explaining the rules for a proper afternoon tea. She learned it at a birthday party last year. My heart swelled. I didn't want to disturb her cute little game. As I turned to leave, I noticed something in the corner of her room, a dark shape out of the corner of my eye. I blinked hard. It was still there. The optometrist had warned that I could have floaters after LASIK, so I went to the bathroom for some eye drops before heading to bed. I woke up the next morning and went to the kitchen for cereal like I always do, but the milk in the fridge had gone bad, chunky and sour, even though I just bought it 2 days ago. I checked the expiration date as I tossed it in the trash. It still had a week left. Annoying. I'd have to go get some more after work. A few days passed. Normal days and normal nights. And one morning I was brushing my teeth when I noticed something in the mirror. A streak of gray hair at my temple. I'm only 34. I never had gray hair before. I wondered if I should start dyeing it. That night I was passing my daughter's room when I heard her talking to someone. I paused outside her door. "That's not nice," she was saying. I pushed the door open. In the corner was a blurry, dark shape, like a shadow or something vaguely resembling a person hunched over. These floaters were getting out of hand. My kid was sitting cross-legged on her bed, the jewelry box open in front of her. The music was playing. I asked her who she was talking to. She said nobody as she closed the box. The music stopped. I sat down next to her and gently asked again. She looked down at her hands and said that when the music plays, someone talks to her. I always thought people were exaggerating when they said they had chills, but when she told me there was a voice coming from the box, I felt it run down my spine. That night I went online and searched antique jewelry box with goat figure. Nothing useful came up. But then I noticed something. Our terrier, who usually slept in my daughter's room, was curled up in the hallway instead. When I tried to lead him into her room, he flattened his ears and backed away, whining. "What's wrong, Terry?" I asked. But he wouldn't budge. The next morning, my daughter sat down to breakfast with dark circles under her eyes. I asked if she slept okay, and she said the voice in the box kept her up all night. That's when I first made the connection. The box, the music, and the strange things happening in our home. That night I waited until she fell asleep. I took the box from her shelf and examined it more closely, turning it over in my hands. That's when I noticed the markings on the bottom, symbols I didn't recognize, not in English. I took some photos and searched online. I dug deeper into the goat figure too. Turns out goats aren't just farm animals. In old religious texts, they represent sin and judgment. In Greek myths, half-goat creatures were symbols of chaos. And there was something called the Baphomet, a goat-headed figure tied to forbidden rituals and mysterious practices. Then I found an article about something called object attachment. It's where entities or bed spirits, or whatever you want to call them, bond themselves to physical items. Usually small decorative things like dolls, statues, music boxes. I read accounts of people who experienced things like I had after bringing home antiques. Dead plants, spoiled food, seeing shadows, hearing voices. All classic signs of a cursed object. The more I read, the more convinced I became. Something was living in that jewelry box, and it was engaging with my kid. I had to get rid of that thing immediately. I threw it in the trash on garbage day, wheeled the can to the end of the driveway myself, and watched the arm of the truck empty it into the crusher. I let out a deep breath, thinking it was over. The next night, as I tucked my daughter into bed, there it was again. The jewelry box, sitting between some Harry Potter books. I felt sick. "Did you take this out of the trash?" She shook her head and said it was just there on her shelf when she came home from school. I realized getting rid of it wasn't going to be that easy. So I decided to try something else. I listed it on eBay. Vintage brass jewelry box, velvet lined, unique goat figurine inside, $20. No bids. I dropped the price to $5. No bids. The next day I made it free, just pay shipping. Still no takers. Meanwhile, more strange things kept happening. A photograph of our family developed a dark blur around our faces. Our bathroom mirror would fog up, even when no one had showered. And I kept seeing those shadows, always in my peripheral vision. I had to get rid of this thing. That's when a new idea hit me. I deleted the first eBay listing and created a new one. Haunted antique jewelry box. Paranormal activity warning. Previous owner not responsible for strange occurrences. In the description, I included some of the strange things that had happened. The dead plants, the spoiled food, the gray hair, the shadows in the corners. I added a video of the music playing, making sure to get the goat figure in the shot. Instead of starting at $20, I listed it at $100. By the next morning, the bidding was up to $300. My plan was working. People were commenting, asking questions, wanting to know more about the box's history, its powers. I made up some story about it coming from Eastern Europe. Said an old woman had warned us about it, but we didn't listen. The bidding hit $500 by that afternoon. Someone offered me $1,000 if I'd end the auction early. I declined. By that evening, the bidding had reached $2,500. I took more photos, close-ups of the symbols on the bottom. People went crazy for it. I let the bidding continue. On the final day, with an hour left, the price was hovering around $3,000. In the last few minutes, a bidding war broke out. The price jumped to $3,500, then $3,800. When the auction closed, the final price was $4,666, plus shipping. I packaged that box carefully, triple wrapped it in bubble wrap, and added a warning label for authenticity. I shipped it the next day with no return address. I whistled when I got home. I felt lighter. And you know what else? The gray hair was gone. Terry was back to sleeping in my daughter's room like nothing had happened. I could have cereal again, and the shadows disappeared. A week later, the tracking confirmed delivery to some poor guy in Ohio. I checked my PayPal. The money was there. Real money for a haunted item. I sat in my workshop looking at all the old pieces of furniture I collected, waiting to be refinished. An antique mirror I'd picked up last weekend caught my eye. Victorian style with an ornate gold frame. I opened a new eBay listing. Haunted Victorian mirror. Previous owner disappeared. Paranormal researchers only. I started the bidding at $5,000. Turns out people will pay big money for a scary story attached to an ordinary object. I look at the other furniture in my workshop differently now. Each piece has a history I can embellish. Sometimes I wonder if that jewelry box was really haunted. If those things really happened because of it. I know it sounds messed up. Something with whispering to my kid. Our dog wouldn't go near it. When I check my bank account, I think maybe that thing was actually good luck. Like that podcaster said, the riches are in the niches. And mine just happens to be haunted.